This show contains adult content. Hello everyone, it's Caleb, your host and game marshal. Welcome back to Sounds Like Crows. Our very own Marshall Sims and Christine Chester from Omen's Call were on the Character Creation Cast talking about APs at home. Fascinating stuff. I will put a link in the description to that show. We're going to be at Genghis Con. We're going to be there from February 14th through the 16th. We might be there the 13th as well. It's a gaming convention in Colorado, the largest Savage Worlds gaming convention in the world. I know some of you are coming. I'm excited to see y'all. If you are coming Saturday, we're having a bit of a meetup at like 1 p.m. In a conference room. If you can't find us, just tweet at us or, email us. But I doubt it'll be very hard to find. We'll also probably be taking the week of Genghis Con off from releasing an episode. So there will be an episode next week, but not the week after. Savage Worlds and Deadlands Reloaded are owned by the Pinnacle Entertainment Group. Music on the show is provided by Rudy Zuniga, Levi Rojas, or licensed by Voidcore Productions. Sounds Like Crows is made possible by Suzanne Hagen, Jared, Ariel Weiss, Greg Gray, and Aaron Blackston, along with all of our other patrons at patreon.com/Sounds Like Crows. With all that out of the way, welcome back to the Weird West. We hear the noise of the waves crashing before we see them chopping across the darkened waters of the Great Maze. Old Boots' boat Maribel lunges over waves, basically clearing the entire boat off the top of these things as the sound of the ghost rock burning, the screaming souls, punctuates his acceleration towards the massive fortress of Tabitha Rains. We cut to Harper as his face is covered in water, hat long forgotten as you look overboard. Harper, you want to make a notice roll for Grace here?
I do. It's a 5.
Even with your keen gaze, Harper, with the conditions of the storm, I think there would be at least a -2 on this. You look fruitlessly for your best friend and cannot find her in the choppy waves. What do you want to do?
Well, he's tied to the freaking boat right now.
Yeah, with me, right?
Yeah, I think he tries to move off to the edge of the boat to get a better position, and he can't. And then he kind of frantically starts trying to untie himself, and then he realizes also that he hasn't seen his brother after he jumped off the boat. And yeah. I think he glances into the water to look for Ellis and probably doesn't see him either. I think he's just kind of in a state of panic right now, to be honest with you.
Okay. Anybody else?
I think Thaddeus is still below board or below deck.
Yeah.
He's been plugging away trying to keep this thing from sinking, checking for any new breaches and making sure that the ones he's pinched up are holding tight.
I think Thaddeus is waterlogged. Things sort of are floating around the bottom of this boat that you've had to tear off in order to move from hole to hole, and things getting caught on the cramped quarters below decks of Maribel. I think down here is more like a crawl space than it is true below deck. It's probably 4 feet tall. So whatever you have going on down here is sort of dimly lit and hunched over.
Man, it's been a rough spot.
Yeah.
Well, he definitely lost his hat. It's floating around here somewhere. He'll go grasping for it later.
Cool. Abel, you are the only one on the boat not tied down.
Are we close enough to the cave entrance that if I went and helped Boot stoke the engines, get this thing some speed, I could try and get us inside?
Yes, Boot has successfully made his boating roll to get him inside, so it's just a matter of if you guys want to do anything before that just occurs. The complication here was Grace just jumping overboard, which you could have seen if you want. But narratively, if you want Abel to stoke his boat, I think that makes sense.
Abel's far more concerned about Ellis. If I run along the edge of the boat rails towards the part where Ellis should be at this point, and I hunt down there in the waves for him, is there any way I can see him with the flashing lightning or anything?
You can make a notice roll at -4. What's he got there, Ellis?
Oh, I'm rolling for him, huh? Well, that's good because I just got a 6 that blew up.
6 that
Of
blew
course
up.
you did.
All right, so it's a 16 minus what?
4?
Yeah, so it's still a raise.
12. Oh
raises.
my god. Okay, well, we need to figure out then how he can possibly see you.
You need to figure it out, Caleb, because you said it was okay.
Even if I just see like his hat or something floating on the water and I know that's where to throw a rope, so when he floats up, the rope will be waiting for him or something, I'm down with that.
Were you wearing a hat, Ellis?
I was not. I didn't describe this last time, but Ellis was not wearing his regular attire.
What about your mask?
No mask. I was getting ready for this secret mission where I was supposed to go spook these guys, these Mexican army soldiers. So I was wearing like some old boots, old shit. I think I was wearing yeah, exactly, like barefoot pants that don't quite fit me. They go down to like my ankles, and then probably just a really ragged shirt, something you can almost see through. You can almost see that hole in my chest through it.
You run to the right side of the boat, Abel, seeing nothing. You sort of run to the left and cast your eyes out in the water. And then we cut down below the waves. We see Ellis with movie magic in these darkened waters, holding on to this massive creature who we still cannot make neither hide nor hair of. And this thing has stopped moving, Ellis. The wriggling convulsions have stopped, and you, along with the terrible thing, are slowly sinking underneath the waves. It's peaceful down here. You know, you can't hear anything. The sound of rolling thunder and lightning striking is all but gone this far below the waves. But as you hold onto it with your knife, we need to figure out how you can count coup on this thing. Last time we talked about it, Weichuge sort of took over and showed you how you could do it.
Right.
Do you think something similar happens, or do you think that Ellis has learned how to do it now?
I think that Weichuge can do it without taking control. He didn't take control of me last time. He just did it.
Sure, yeah.
I can probably just, like, tell him to, although I am underwater, so it would be difficult to understand me. But I could do my best to convey that to him, unless he automatically just tries to do it, since we just had that conversation not too long ago.
As you start thinking about it, you can hear his voice in your head telling you to put out your hand that is not holding the knife against the creature's flesh.
I think my hand that is not holding the knife is still embedded deep into this thing from when I struck it.
Oh, sick.
So maybe...
Well, then maybe he doesn't tell you that. Instinctually, you can just feel what Weichuge wants you to do, and you've never felt like this before. You don't know whether it's the adrenaline rush of combat or because you're underwater, but your hand quickly twists your fist inside this creature's body, like twisting the knife in a gut of a person you've just killed. And in a few moments, you can feel the thing's flesh start to shrink and pull back away. And we cut to the surface of the water where Abel is overlooking the edge of the boat. And in a moment, Abel, even in the middle of all these waves, it's like a massive sinkhole opens just for a moment. The void created by this creature's body turning to particles creates a void, and the water just drops down in a massive bowl. And then after a few moments, it splashes back up to the surface, and the resulting waves push Old Boots' boat as it careens towards the fortress.
Abel sees this hole, right? Abel looks down, sees this massive implosion, the water rushing in as the boat shoots off into the cave, right?
It's not there yet. No, we're just going towards it.
Great. Then I will grab the nearest rope and whip that out into the hole as far as I can to hopefully give Ellis something to grab onto when he comes up.
Cut underneath the waves, Ellis, and you feel yourself invigorated. You feel stronger. You feel like you've eaten the best meal you've had in your whole life. You feel like you've slept for 9 hours and awoken to 2 cups of coffee. Your eyes shoot open underneath the darkened waters. And as you start to move around, it's almost like you're... What's a good way to explain why you now have a swimming speed, a pace underwater of 6?
6 pace underwater?
6 pace underwater.
It's kind of silly to move my arms and legs really fast. I think that looks stupid.
Yeah.
I don't want to do a merman fish thing either,
Yeah.
it'd be cool if it just like, it looks like I was just being pulled through the water as if I was like holding a rope or something. Maybe in our realm, but maybe in the hunting grounds, you would actually see the spirit of this thing. Almost like I'm inside of it and it's just like pulling me around.
Really cool.
Yeah, that's dope.
But I don't know if there'd be any other visible effects. If it's like a portal to the hunting ground, maybe there could be some spooky shit with that. I don't know, like coming out of my mouth or eyes or something.
We can figure that out, but that sounds great.
Okay, cool.
And yeah, do you shoot back straight to the surface?
Yeah, I think I want to get back to the boat.
In just a few moments, your head breaks water and you're once again assaulted by the sound and smell of the sea as lightning strikes above this looming cliff in front of you. You look around to the boat and you can see there's a rope leading all the way from it to where you are, and one of your brothers holds the other end.
Oh, I'm going to grab it for sure.
We cut to Abel as you see your brother out there in the waters. At least you assume it's him. He's just a small bobbing head at this point in the water.
Yeah.
He grabs on and presumably you start to pull him in.
Yeah, yank him on in.
The boat takes off and we cut at the speed of television to the inside of this place. The waters are still choppy. It's dark in here. You can't see anything. And as the boat pulls in, it reverberates and echoes inside of this large chamber. As Ellis, you're finally pulled up like a sloshing wet halibut onto the deck of the boat. And instead of that normal shot where like you cut to them and they're coughing and wheezing on the bottom of the deck, it's that same shot, but then Ellis just slowly rises up and the water runs down your face.
I think you can also see it kind of runs out of the cavity in my chest that's been building up in there, even through all the rainwater and stuff. I think there's still a noticeable amount in there.
And then we cut to the reverse shot where Abel, you're left holding the rope as Harper runs up behind you.
Holy shit, boys. That was some real shit right there.
Ellis, did you see Grace?
Did I see Grace?
She went overboard.
Shit.
Grace
went overboard.
When?
During the fucking fight.
Yeah, I don't see her here.
Jesus Christ.
Harper, I'll go get her.
Abel looks around a little confused.
How are you gonna get out there? We can't take the boat back out.
I'm a really good swimmer now, Harper. Don't worry about it.
What do you mean?
I mean, shit, you saw what he did down there.
Harper takes a step back and puts his hands like up on the back of his head and kind of takes a couple of steps and looks over at Ellis and just kind of like shakes his head like, do it.
Ellis just kind of cannonballs into the water.
We cut down below the waves of this choppy water, Ellis. Man, it is hard to make your way through this water. The currents are pushing and pulling you, and even with this sort of newfound power you have, swimming through here is very difficult. And in addition to that, I mean, you can't see anything. You know, you can maybe see 5-10 feet in front of you. The waters are murky and dark. Not helped by the overcast skies. And if you break up to the surface of the water, the waves are so choppy that without a few moments of clarity, you can barely see anything out here in the great waves. How are you going about finding her?
Yeah, I think initially I don't really have much of a plan. I just kind of go out towards where we came from, or where I think we came from. I just start frantically looking around. What would be the notice roll I'd have to hit for this at this point?
Well, I think just noticing something normally in these conditions is probably a -4, and I hesitate to do more than that. However, you're not only trying to see her, you're also trying to be lucky enough to be in a position where you can see her.
Right.
Which seems extremely unlikely.
Yeah, I agree.
I would make it a -8.
Well, I'm going to give it a shot just to see what happens.
Okay.
That's a big time failure.
It's a
2 and a 1. I could spin a Benny on this. How important? I feel like it's pretty important. My only option is to, I don't know, I could talk to Wei and see if he can see anything.
I mean, you don't have to do it alone, too. Can't we take the boat back out?
I mean, it's a bad storm.
It's a bad storm. It's
Yeah.
already damaged.
He had to make a roll just to get into the cave in the first place.
If Old Boot's even willing to do it again.
I don't have Harper's eyes. I can't just notice things like this.
Yeah, that's true. That's
One eye.
hard thing.
It's one eye, guys.
You could try, but you're going to be spending a lot of bennies, I think.
I'll spin 1 Benny.
Okay.
The alternative is before you roll with
Yes.
that, Benny,
Uh-huh.
you could spend a Providence chip to say she's near enough that it would only be a -4.
Yikes. That's still pretty low odds.
I mean, there's 1 in 4 chance.
I feel
That's
like
bad.
I used up all my luck on that fight for the rest of the year.
I don't think so.
It's not like
That was
if you
pretty
get,
incredible.
even if you get the skull, though, like, you don't breathe.
Yeah.
right? Now you can swim fast. It's not like he can hurt you.
Okay, yeah. There's only a
Could be spotted though
25% chance.
from up top though.
What are the terms if I get the
crow?
If I happen to get the bad ship, the crow?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, I should try it, huh?
Yeah, dude. We haven't flipped those chips in
I
so
flipped a chip
long.
for a hat grab before, so
Please, Grace, don't be dead, dude.
That's the crow. Oh, God.
Are you serious?
Well, make a roll at -8 and let me think.
What if I get the roll though?
You're going to find her head.
You'll find her head.
Nope. That would have been a failure with the -4 too.
Feel free to shoot out ideas, guys.
Maybe the crow is that he does find her head. Maybe the thing got to her.
That's so fucked.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's super fucked.
That's even more brutal, actually.
I mean, does a harrowed Grace searching down revenge for the Crow Boys sound like any fun? I don't think so.
I do have one idea.
Yeah.
It's pretty fucked.
Yeah.
I don't know how you guys would feel about it. Is maybe Ellis wants to find Grace, but Uechuge sees Grace as an enemy. She's obviously voiced her opinion against even what we did to those the soldiers. You know, if she found out what Ellis was, there's a pretty good chance, I feel, that she would maybe try to kill him or at least capture him and take him somewhere. Maybe Uechuge kind of has that bad feeling about her, and he does spot her, and he doesn't want her to live, and this would be the perfect opportunity for him to kill her, and I could go back to the ship without like the boys knowing that it was me.
That is more fucked.
And Ellis knows?
Ellis would know, but he'd have to lie about it or tell Harper the truth.
That does sound like a crow. Yeah, that sounds...
That does.
I don't know.
I don't
that's
want
juicy,
that
dude.
to happen. I really don't. I wanted to have a whole thing where I was trying to, get her on my side. But what if I find her and we do a normal Dominion roll to see what happens?
I don't think we can do that since you failed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it's not only did you fail, but it's worse than failing.
Yeah, I think an automatic failure on a Dominion roll sounds pretty fucked.
I think he would have to do a Dominion roll anyways, even though we got the bad chip. This would just be the bad chip would just be the situation where like Uechuge wants to kill her. Yeah, he wants to kill her now.
I don't know how much you want to fuck around with the mechanics of it, but you could just say it's a Dominion roll and Uechuge gets a bonus.
My hang up is you can't find Grace.
Yeah.
Right.
You cannot come back with Grace. So if you want that to be a thing, there can't be a Dominion roll for that. He would just have to kill her. We can't say, oh, well, you failed the roll, failed flipping a Providence ship, but you still found her. That's
All right.
not cool.
Well, so I failed the roll, didn't find her. So what does that mean?
I mean, he could just fucking find her body, man. Like, that's...
I mean, that's also finding her, though, isn't it?
If she's dead, though, that's different.
Right.
Maybe
Yeah.
that's what the Providence chip is. I find her, but it's too late.
Well, hopefully your storyline's wrapped up, Cam.
Yeah, I mean,
That
it's fine.
sucks.
Yeah,
I tried. Sorry,
it's
dude.
really
That's
rough.
okay.
We cut to the boat as Old Boot powers it down. I think he shuts off the Ghost Rock engine first and then finally shuts down the other one. Any of the boys that care to wait and watch, I assume Harper.
Yeah.
Is anyone with Harper on the edge of the boat?
Lucky goes over and stands near Harper and puts an arm on his shoulder. It's going to be all right.
I fucking hope so.
Ellis fucking just took down that monster. He can find a girl. I mean,
Yeah, if anybody can do it, he can.
After a few moments of waiting, Old Boot's boat turns off, and you can just hear the sounds of the muted storm outside looking through this opening. Really the only light being the flashes of lightning powering this place you're inside of. After a few moments, you see a head bob up above the waves. It's Ellis. And after a few more moments, he bobs up again, and he's got Grace with him.
Yeah, I think Harper kind of excitedly moves and puts his hands on the edge of the boat and kind of leans over and moves over to a place where he can help get her into the boat or onto some shore somewhere.
hell yeah, I told you, man.
I think that the look that Ellis had before he jumped in the water, that look of excitement, is you can tell by looking at him at this point. It's gone. Everything's been sapped from him. And you probably know that something's wrong.
And then as he comes up to the edge of the boat and you reach your hand down, you can see he's holding the lifeless body that was once your friend Grace.
And maybe tie her to the rope, hoist her up first, and then come up myself.
Harper is frantically pulling at the rope, like trying to get her into the boat. I think you can see little jets of steam coming out of his new arm as he's like putting everything he has into pulling her aboard. And he kind of like pulls her like down on top of himself and like across the boat, and he's trying to resuscitate her. I don't think he knows CPR. So he's like, clapping her on the back, trying to get her to cough up whatever water she has in her lungs. He's just frantically trying to bring her back. I don't think he says anything. I don't think he's making any noise. I think he's just doing what he can to bring this corpse back to life.
We cut to a larger shot. We see Thaddeus come out of the...
Yeah, I think once the engine started, stopped. He realized that we're safe for now. And so he climbs out from below deck and tries to wring out some of the water that's in his hat and puts it back on.
Oh, what the hell was that, old boys? That was wild. Hey, where's everybody at?
Turn around.
Hey, what's going on? Everybody okay?
I don't think that Harper says anything.
I think Ellis just looks at Thaddeus and shakes his head.
Oh, hell.
And we get this shot of Thaddeus's face sinking as we cut to Harper cradling Grace in his arms.
I think that shot hangs for a while, actually. You can see that he's quietly sobbing. It's strange because he openly cried when Ellis died. He is mourning in a different way than we've seen, I think. It's the same gut-wrenching pain, though. And he pulls her to the side of the boat. He sits her up so that she's sitting up and kind of looking out. And I think that he sets himself on the other side of the boat and just sits there and just looks and thinks. He hasn't said a word to anyone. I feel like this has gone on for, honestly, as long as he can get away with it, until somebody stops him.
Look, he walks over to Abel. So what do we do, man?
I'm sorry. She was already like that.
Abel looks up from where he's tying off the boat to some rock outcropping. Nothing. He's just got to get up and move, or the rest of us will follow her down.
Shit, maybe we should go back and do something about it? I don't know, bury her?
There's a steel kind of glint in Abel's eye. The absolute lack of any empathy for this situation. She knew what happened when she jumped overboard. Person can't handle it, they shouldn't come along.
Fucking Christ, Abel. You poured 6 shots into that thing and it didn't even flinch. Any right person would have jumped off. We were just stupid enough to stay. How can you say that about her?
Abel glances down at his pistol, perhaps knocked out of his self-assurance for a moment. At least I did something, Lucky. Not run away from the only people around me I care about.
A little harsh, Abel. Still gotta remember that was still Harper's friend.
Harsh? I'm telling the truth. Now, I ain't saying it to his face, 'cause he ain't need that right now. It's still the truth.
You think we can do this without him?
No.
You think it's a good idea for him to go in there like this?
Abel glances over at Harper. What else is he gonna do?
Stay with Boot on the ship?
I don't see Harper doing that, but...
10 minutes from now, he's gonna come running down the tunnel after us.
Still not gonna be good for him, Abel.
Especially if he gets angry. He's gonna start getting reckless. You know how he is. We don't need that right now.
Maybe that is what we need right now.
Fucking Christ, Abel, you got a one-track mind. I'm gonna go help out Harper. Lucky leaves.
Abel's eyebrows narrow and glares at Lucky for a moment before turning back to tie off the boat.
During that conversation, we cut over to look at Harper during that. I think we saw Thaddeus kind of walk on the screen and take a seat next to Harper.
Hey, this is real unfortunate, Harp.
I tried to tell her that she ain't seen nothing like this before. I tried to tell her that she wouldn't. How do you tell somebody what we've seen, Thaddeus? How do you make somebody understand what we've been through?
Oh, shit, little brother. I ain't the man to ask. You never saw me, 'cause I couldn't figure out how.
I think Harper's head just sags. He glances back up at Grace, seated across from him on this boat. She shouldn't have been here. I knew it. I fucking knew it. She shouldn't have been here.
Well, hell, none of us should be. This whole situation's fucked, and we know it. It's been that way since the start. She had conviction. She wanted to help those girls. There wasn't any way we were gonna leave her behind. You know, she would have just followed us anyway. But I don't know. How can I help you? We need your head in this, because we can't have you following her today.
I don't think Harper replies. You know, it's one of those questions that doesn't really have an answer. He takes a moment and he just looks into his hands. He opens and closes that mechanical one. He opens and closes his human hand. And I think he looks up and makes eye contact with Thaddeus. The first time he's made eye contact with anybody since they've managed to get Grace onto the boat. I don't know, Thaddeus. I mean, you're right. We got lives to save. Thaddeus, we still got people to save.
I think that's a good thought. We lost one. Let's try not to make it anymore.
I think Thaddeus will hold Harper's gaze for a bit.
If you ever think of anything, I know I might not be your first, but I'm here to listen if you need it. I love you, little brother. We're gonna be all right.
He nods a few times and for the first time ever leans in for a genuine hug. And I think he holds Thaddeus for a while and then lets go.
And then you hear the voice of Old Boone. I reckon she ain't got no use for this anymore, and, well, I figure you do. And he reaches out, his hands extended, holding Grace's Winchester.
He looks at it again for a long, silent moment and reaches out and takes it. He holds it in his hands, looking over the leather that has those little pieces of turquoise, kind of rubs his thumb along like the silver work on it and stands up and kind of moves over. He looks down at Grace for a moment and then leans down and kind of brushes the hair off of her face and whispers something to her and then starts moving towards the rest of his brothers.
We fade to a Colorado morning. The sky is lit up with deep blue. The sun, not yet crested the horizon, is reflecting off the clouds above and spilling over the mountains in the distance. The camera tilts down to a camp of two. Two horses are yet to be saddled, and we see Grace kicking out the fire that kept these two warm over the night. She's holding the coffee pot with the last bit of it still in her hand, pouring it into a cup as she moves over to Harper. This isn't very long before the events of Season 1, less than a year. Grace doesn't look much different than she did. I do think she looks happier, though.
Yeah, that makes sense.
She passes a cup to Harper, who I think has just gotten out of his bedroll for the morning.
Yeah, I think he's still on the ground. He's pulling his boot on and kind of reaches up and takes the coffee cup and takes a big swig out of it and then kind of cringes at the bitterness of what was left over in the pot.
Yeah, I know.
Well, we got paid pretty good on that last job, didn't we?
That was a hell of a thing. Yep, we even brought them all in alive, Harper. I did it just for you, nobody else.
Hey, it wasn't even that hard, was it?
It really wasn't, actually. I feel like we've figured this thing out.
I mean, it ain't too bad. You just figure out who they like best and you get them first. The rest of them will fold.
Honestly, if you're stupid enough to get a bounty on your fucking head, you're stupid enough for us to easily kill you.
Yeah. See, it ain't too. Most of these robbers, they just need a little bit of petty cash.
Yeah, just a bit of petty cash.
You know, they ain't ready for the type of trouble that brings them. So
no, sir,
you show up, you flash your steel, they're done.
They're done. They both sip from their tin coffee mugs.
Harper starts to pack up his bedroll and kind of secure it to his saddle before throwing it on top of Thunder.
I had some word. Some of the marshals up in Wyoming were looking for some bounties to be run. I guess not a lot of folks have made it up there recently, so that sounds good to head next if you're good with it.
Harper kind of reaches into his pocket and pulls out a telegram.
Ah, shit, we don't have to do fucking Wyoming if you don't want to, Harper. We can go down to somewhere warm,
Well,
somewhere less windy.
I got a telegram from Lucky. Here, and he hands it over. Looks like Mama's been having trouble with horse thieves coming in and trying to take the last of the horses.
When is your mama not having trouble with that goddamn farm?
Always, but this is something I can help with.
She snatches the telegram out of your hands and looks over it with suspicious eyes.
Listen, you're more than welcome to come with me.
I am not fucking dealing with your mother. I am not dealing with your mother.
Yeah, hey, Lucky's going to be there, though. Come on.
He is not interested at all.
I just don't think he knows. Harper turns around and kind of starts to settle that saddle.
How could you fucking not?
You know, Grace, you're good with people, but you are a terrible flirt.
Well, yeah. Your mom's just so mean.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I don't really want that in my life right now, to be honest. I feel like we have a good thing going. And I'm not sure why you do either. If she's having rustler problems, I mean, there's local law enforcement. There's
the law enforcement in Silvertree ain't shit.
Well, fine. Let's send her some fucking money to buy some new horses. Who gives a shit?
Listen, you and I both know that this money ain't gonna go as far as it looks like. We're gonna have to feed ourselves for the next month. I'm gonna have to feed Thunder, and he gives his horse a pat. This money goes quick between bounties, especially if we're gonna have to travel all the way out to Wyoming.
Why can't Lucky deal with that?
Okay, listen, Lucky's a good shot, but he ain't no good in a skirmish.
I don't know. He seems pretty scrappy to me.
He's gonna run his mouth. He's gonna get himself shot. There's a reason that he sent for me.
Yeah, makes sense.
Plus, I just don't think he wants to deal with it alone. I mean, he probably could, but I don't know. I ain't gonna risk it. Harper kind of grins as he finishes and starts to move up towards Thunder's head and kind of pat him.
She looks to her saddle, stands where she's standing, looks back to you and sips on the coffee some more.
Listen, Grace, it's only going to be a little while.
Okay. That's fine. I understand. You got to take care of your family. I get that a lot.
Well, if you're going up to Wyoming, where are you headed? Cheyenne?
Yeah. Where the fuck else is there in Wyoming?
Yeah, you hang out near Cheyenne, do whatever jobs you can do by yourself, and I'll come find you. I mean, I ain't got shit else going on. So.
That shit, they got telegrams now. Just send it up there. I'll check in with the office every week or something. Just give it your best shot.
I'll tell you what, if you end up moving out, you send me one. They got one.
Sure. Yeah. Honestly, I only said Wyoming because, I know you like to stay close to home. I know you haven't been Anyway, I've been damn near about everywhere, Harper, and I feel like I'm just probably going to keep going west. So I'll go up to Wyoming for a while, and then I'll send you a telegram with where I'm going, if I know where I'm going. And we'll figure it out from there.
All right, well, either way, I'll find you.
Okay, well, she turns back towards her saddle and her saddlebags that are laying on the dirt. I got something for you. She moves over to one of these leather saddlebags and unbuckles it, flips it open, and she pulls out Harper's old poncho. Do you want to remind me what this thing looks like?
She kind of opens it up, and you see it's kind of a gray poncho, and it has red details and red design work on it that kind of run along the edge and kind of move towards the center. Geometric designs.
Totally.
Nothing too crazy.
I keep picturing diamonds.
Lots of diamonds and the triangles and stuff that you see in a lot of blankets and stuff and Western decor.
Yeah, this is for you.
You got me a blanket?
No, it's not a blanket. It's a poncho.
Harper takes a few steps forward and kind of takes it from her and feels it.
Okay, listen, you're being real ungrateful about this. I fucking made this.
You made this?
I made this on one of those and she moves her hands around in a motion that you assume means a loom or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it took me fucking a very long time.
Damn. He kind of takes it in his hands and kind of starts to rub the fabric between his two good hands and looking at it with his two good eyes.
It looks like it would stand out, but when you're near rocks or it's actually pretty good camouflage.
He kind of takes it and looks at it. He just holds it for a second, and then he looks up to her. Damn, Grace, that's a hell of a thing. How long did it take you to make this?
It has taken me the longest of anything I've ever done in my fucking life. It's, yeah, I don't even know. Fucking months, Harper.
Jesus.
Yeah. Well, I gotta do something when I go back home.
He throws it over his head and kind of secures it. He reaches down and picks up his hat and then opens his arms.
She does like a dual stance where she sort of like hovers her hand above her pistol.
And he does the same.
And after a few beats, she tries to draw, and then you both draw, fingers not on the trigger, whatever. Mm-hmm. And then she puts it back.
How's it look?
Looks fucking smart. Looks smart.
Yeah, I think so too. He kind of like reaches down and kind of like brushes it like he's trying to get some dust off of it.
Yeah, don't get that shit dirty. Don't fuck with that, okay? It's very traditional. Nobody makes them like that. Those things will not get made in like 50 years. Fucking guaranteed.
All right, I'll take care of it.
This is one of a kind. This is
one
unique.
of a kind. Unique. Specialty item right here. This is luxury.
Hell yeah.
And he kind of pulls it down and throws it over his shoulder.
I was...
Means a lot.
Yeah, well, figured as I'm never going to see you again.
Oh, that's bullshit.
Okay, well, when your mom fucking dies, send me a telegram and I'll come hang out. Me and Lucky will get married. We can have the ranch. You can hang out whenever you want.
Oh, you think that you and Lucky's getting the ranch?
Definitely. I would marry him, wait for him to die, which would be almost immediately.
Okay.
And then I have the nest and you're fucked.
I guarantee you that she's writing you out of the will. She's making sure that as long as you're involved, you ain't getting shit.
She's writing down at the will that I get nothing.
Yeah, she hates you.
Yeah.
She really, I don't even know why.
Do you think she knows if Lucky, or does she just hate me?
I mean, I have no idea. Maybe it's because you like Lucky, and she just hates that.
Or maybe she's just a mean fucking person.
I mean, she is mean. Listen, she's always been nice to me, but she's been mean to other people. This is inside looking out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Well,
listen, as I'm never going to see you again.
Yeah.
Harper kind of looks down towards his feet, is kind of rubbing his hands. Listen, Grace, I wanted to thank you before I left. Thank you for everything. You did a hell of a thing, keeping me alive and helping me out. God knows what I'd be doing right now if you hadn't convinced me to leave that gang. I could be out killing and stealing, but instead I'm helping people, Grace, in a weird way, but I am. And so are you, and you did that for me. And I just wanted to thank you for that.
She nods the whole time in a way of a person desperately holding back jokes as she hears you talk. Kind of runs her tongue over her bottom teeth, touches her chin uncomfortably as you speak with her left hand, nodding the whole time. And then she looks up to you, hands on her hips, looks you up and down with poncho and everything in the morning Colorado light. You don't have to say thank you for anything. Everything that you've gotten because you're you. Didn't get it because your ma or your brothers or because of me. Got it because of you. And yeah, maybe I pushed you in one way or another. Maybe I saved your life. Okay. But I think you're independent of that, Harper. And I don't know. Whenever you go, and I'm sorry, but whenever you go and you see your family, you're worse for it. Every time. Doesn't matter whether it's your ma, doesn't matter whether it's Lucky, who's perfect. But anyway, you leave it worse than you went into it. And I don't think you owe them a goddamn thing. You don't owe me a goddamn thing. You're Harper fucking Crow. They're gonna write fucking stories about you, Harper. You get that? I shouldn't say that about your family. And I'm sorry. That was out of line.
Harper's kind of standing on his back foot with his arms crossed. He's been looking at her and then looking towards the ground as she's been talking and then, moving his eyes back to her. And I think as she kind of stops talking, he just takes a couple steps forward and reaches out and just offers a hug.
She moves into it. She doesn't meet your eyes. We cut to Harper's back, and we see her sort of staring down at the dirt. And then her eyes glance up towards the sunrise. Love you, buddy.
Yeah, I love you too. Now, you best come back alive.
Yep. She pulls out of the hug. You too? And, say hello to your mother for me. She smiles. Thank you for listening to Sounds Like Crows. If you like the show, please tell a friend about us. It's our easiest way to gain new listeners. Thaddeus was played by Marshall Sims at Mr. Malicious1. Abel was played by Isaac Sunstead at Abel the Crow. Elijah Lee Crow was played by Alex Horrell at Alex Horrell. Luciano Lucky Crow was played by Cameron Day, who you can find on our Patreon-exclusive Discord server. Harper was played by Cameron Reed at CJ Reed 211. And I'm Marshall Caleb at Marshall Caleb on Twitter. See you next Monday.